Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, panel, for being here today. Very interesting and informative, and I appreciate the expertise that you bring to the table. Mr. Purdy, let me begin with you. Can you describe for me a little bit about the program, the Mirror Image? I understand that it's something that allows law enforcement to walk in the shoes of terrorists or something to that effect. Could you describe that a little further, please?
Yes, the Mirror Image Training to Combat Terrorism is a program that we designed to allow law enforcement, military, and intelligence to step into the shoes of a terrorist cell or a network. And the idea behind that was what Sun Tzu said. You know, if you know the enemy and you know yourself, you're going to be able to defeat them. And so what we came up with after a series of interviews with some individuals, we thought that would be a good training format to get people to understand, first and foremost, what is it that these terrorists are trying to do. One of the things I think we have to do a better job is getting people to understand what terrorist organizations are trying to do when they put a communication online. So through Mirror Image, we would take a group of usually 40, 50 people, and for a week to 2 weeks, we would show them by having them become the terrorist. So FBI, law enforcement, military intelligence folks, so that they could then actually have done this. Usually they're working against these individuals, but it's been quite eye-opening for these individuals to see it from the other side. There's a lot of great lessons that can be learned by reading what they're putting out, by doing the types of things that they do to understand that mentality. So as they combat these individuals, they'll have a greater understanding and hopefully be able to deal with this situation.
So I take it then from your answer that you believe this has been quite beneficial.
I have had military individuals tell me that when they went to Iraq, that training saved lives. I've had law enforcement individuals said, what we learned in your program enabled us to not only understand the terrorists, but to be somewhat predictive in what a terrorist was attempting to do. So yes, sir.
Very good. Let me transition over to you, Mr. Gardenstein-Ross. What do you think, at the end of the day, is actually attracting people to ISIS caliphate?
I think there's multiple things attracting people to the ISIS caliphate, and I think it's somewhat different based upon personality and region. You know, ISIS actually has on some of their web pages a different interface that you receive depending upon where you're from. So if you're looking at them and you're a Westerner, for some of their pages, you'll get a different page than if you're visiting from the Middle East. There's two major themes in their propaganda, though, that I would point to, even though there are many things that draw people to them. One theme is their strength. And as I said, they're extraordinarily brutal, but they're okay with that because their brutality, beheading people, burning people alive, this is a sign that they're winning. This is a sign of how strong they are. That's one element that's very strong in their propaganda. A second element, and Charlie Winter writes about this for the Quilliam Foundation quite well, a British-based think tank, is that they're building a state. Ambassador Fernandez referred to that. That's the second aspect of their propaganda, both destruction and also creation. I think both of those are vulnerable to disruption. On the one hand, we were talking a bit about whether the bombing campaign has accomplished anything or not. Right now, ISIS is fighting a 10-front war. And if you look at the past couple of months, they've experienced one loss after another. One of their biggest gains this year, Ramadi, is under a lot of pressure, and the odds are that they will lose it within the next, say, 8 to 10 months.
If you don't mind, let me interrupt. I've only got about a minute left,
Sure.
And just open up a question to each of you. Do any of you know what the objectives are of our current administration in terms of their national strategy for countering violent extremism? So I take it from that no one knows what our strategy is.
The President, in his global summit, did identify 2 areas he was focusing on. We might disagree with the parameters of that, but he focused on training youth around the world to promote tolerance and counter extremist ideologies at a young person's level, generation.
Promote tolerance to extremism?
You asked a question about what they're doing. I'm not saying, I'm not taking sides here, sir. I'm giving you.
No, I'm just, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that's what I understand that the president's agenda is. But I'm giving you an answer to your question. I'm not in the administration, sir. I'm retired.
All right, well, Mr. Chairman, I see my time